Oh, there. Go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to On the Hunt with Alpen Optics. I'm your host, Lonnie Robinson, along with Pro Staff Coordinator Rick White. This week, our special guest is Mr. Chris Boomer Davidson with the TV show Wild Memories on the Sportsman Channel. And always remember, stay tuned to the end of the show for our weekly special.
And you're up.
Hey, Rick, what's going on up there in Iowa?
And everybody, and welcome to the show. But hey, we've got a little warm up going on up here. Couple of days above freezing, which is has been unusual for us, anyways. So hopefully, we're going to get some snow melting, and before long, when this, we've got still about 2.5 feet of snow on the ground. So trying to get out and do any shed hunting right now is it was pretty hard on this old man walking through that snow. I can tell you that. But, hey, it's just around the corner, and I've got some maple trees tapped. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's that time of year, so starting to do that. I'm looking forward to. Got a little of the spring fever when it warms up like this. But so anyways, special guest today, Chris Boomer Davidson, all the way from PA, Pennsylvania, and as Lonnie said, Chris has is part of a show called Wild Memories that airs on the Sportsman Channel. Chris, how you doing?
Pretty good, Mr. White. Thanks for having me on tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Hello, Chris. How you doing?
Yep. We enjoy having you on for sure. But why don't tell us a little bit about yourself? How'd you get into the business?
So I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. I was raised in a hunting family. Both my grandfathers, big hunters. My dad was a big hunter. So, it's just kind of like in my DNA and my makeup. I'm one of those guys when you're driving down the road, I'm looking in the corners of fields and always checking for deer and turkey and, always looking at weather and barometric pressure and all that. And I served in the United States Army for a number of years. I got out of that. And I basically picked up a video camera one day. I went to a video school, just a brief little school to figure out, how to work the camera and all that. And it really took on a life of its own. I ended up filming for many different television shows on the Outdoor Channel, Sportsman's Channel, and all that. And one day I just came to the conclusion. I said, I learned the inner workings of all this, and it's time for me to branch out on my own and start showing people, my hunts and my experiences through the lens, and then branched into editing and all that. So now it's just become a full-time job really at this point.
Well, let me first say thank you for your service, because it always means a lot. And I've got a little Army history in my background. My grandfather died in World War II. So, just like you, I got into hunting because of my grandfather, and of course then my dad, and he took me out when I was young. But it wasn't until later on in life that I really got involved with into the hunting industry. And here you're quite young, and you've dove into it pretty deep, and you also, as you mentioned, edit your own hunts. So not only do you get to go out and actually do the hunts, but you're the guy back there behind the scenes putting them together. And talk a little bit about that.
So one thing that I've really learned as someone that films hunts is, when you know how to edit, you can basically you're shoot what we call shooting to edit. So you're seeing something happen before it happens, or even like where you would place a tree stand. It could be the summertime, and you're saying to yourself, maybe this is the better spot to hunt, but this is the better filming opportunity. So if a buck were to come down this tree line, that's when you'll work, your leading lines, your rules of third, and all that. And then basically, it's not just about filming the animal, filming the kill. Then you have to build a production, an entire story to be able to take it back to the computer and then be able to, essentially illustrate and paint that picture for the audience.
Yeah, people sometimes don't realize how much work It truly is, especially like say on a deer hunt. Turkey hunts maybe not so much, but you've got another guy right beside you. And I'm sure if I ask this question, I already know what the answer is. But have you ever had mishap with a camera guy? Have you lost an opportunity to take an animal because of your camera guy? And of course, we don't like to blame the cameraman. Maybe I should put it this way: have you ever lost an opportunity due to the fact that there's two people in one tree stand? How about that?
Yeah, actually I have. So actually last year, there was a buck that I was chasing after on my home dirt, Pennsylvania. I called him Big Sexy. He was a big, heavy, mature 8-pointer, and my good buddy Robbie, he also got into the filming with me. His stand is, obviously the cameraman stand is elevated higher than the hunter, so his perception of what he could see, his field of view was different than mine. He saw the buck coming. I couldn't see the buck coming, and we were communicating to each other. He had his headphones on, because he's monitoring the audio. It didn't realize how loud he was talking to me. And how loud, and then I was talking to him probably a little loud too. The buck ended up stopping about 40 yards away, turned right around and went the other way. So that was a missed opportunity. He was coming right to us.
Yeah, as a hunter, it's very easy for me to always blame the cameraman on things that go wrong. And I've been in some of those situations. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a turkey hunt and they've actually flown down right out of the roost. Now this was back in the days when cameras didn't gather as much light. Technology now, compared to what I grew up on, beta cams and that kind of thing, we didn't have that low lux, that light gathering camera. And I couldn't tell you how many times I had turkeys come in off the roost and actually had to let them walk away without shooting them because we didn't have the optimum camera light. So, there's lots of challenges. So tell us a little bit about how your season went, and what are we looking forward to on your upcoming show here?
So we have episode 1 is going to be a really, really, really good episode, I think. It's actually about a bear hunt in New Jersey, which that topic is actually kind of controversial because they're actually talking about doing away with that bear season. But the residents that live in that area, they want that bear season because, the kids, when they get back to in-school learning, when they're down at the bus stop in the morning, the bears are right there. They're rooting through people's trash. They're coming into their backyards. They're nuisance bears. But some of them, New Jersey has some big black bears. So, there could be, a 500-600 pound black bear going through your garbage and you're trying to, come out to take out your garbage, or, you're walking your kids down the lane or something, and all of a sudden here comes a 500-600 pound black bear, or a 500-600 pound black bear. And, New Jersey's saying that they don't want that season. But, that's ultimately, as conservationists and hunters, we know that that's just not possible. So it's going to be a good episode. And, there's 2 bears that'll go down in that. I got a nice bear, and I actually let my cameraman shoot too. So he actually ended up getting a bear as well.
I understand that this was the last year that New Jersey's having their bear season. And I know years ago, I'm pretty sure that at one time the world record bear came out of Pennsylvania, I believe. And I wouldn't be surprised if a new world record would come out of Pennsylvania at some point. We're a proud sponsor of your show, and I know you've had a little chance, and we're not really going to try to push and sell optics so much, but I would like to get your thoughts on how did they perform for you, and what did you like, and what, I don't even know what you actually got. So, but I know you got some of the binos and stuff, but did everything work out good for you?
Yeah, actually, so I actually have them right here, the Alpen Teton 10x42s. That's what I use there. And then I also use the Presser 800 MLRs for my rangefinder. They work well. No complaints at all. Honestly, low light conditions. The glass is clear, crystal clear. Sometimes like that last light opportunity, where something's deep in the woods, with your depth of field, it's hard to see, through optics. Never had a problem with that one time all season. So they stood up. The scopes worked well. I'm have it on a 7M08, and I also have it on a Thompson Center 50 cal.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed them, and I know turkey season here is just around the corner, and I know you've got some turkey hunts scheduled. Where are you planning on going this spring?
So I am looking to go to Texas, Kansas, North Carolina, New Jersey, Maryland, New York, and then back home for Pennsylvania.
Wow, that sounds like a great schedule. I've got some planned myself. I'm going to start off in Georgia and then go to Florida and back to Iowa, then to Indiana, Kentucky, then back to Iowa, then to Michigan, and maybe South Dakota. Oh, and I'm doing Kansas. I've got Kansas in there too. So it sounds like we both got a pretty busy spring. Lonnie, what you got any questions for us, Lonnie?
Well, I was sitting here enjoying listening to you guys talking about the hunt you're fixing to go on. You guys are going to be real busy keeping track of what hunts you are going on this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's for me, when I try to put my schedule together, I'm trying to do it strategically in a way that I can save money if there's any way to do that. In other words, I'm not going to go to Kentucky to South Dakota to Ohio, for instance.
Right.
Go to Indiana to Kentucky to Ohio, and just kind of go from state to state to state without having to spend a lot of money on gas. You know, tags aren't cheap. Travel's not cheap nowadays, and of course, food and lodging. You know, if you're able to pick that stuff up along the way, so it's not cheap going hunting.
Well, I'm thinking about trying to get up to Iowa to do some turkey hunting this year.
Yeah, well, there's no turkeys in Iowa.
There ain't?
Save your money.
Ah.
No, I would venture to say. Now, listen, I've hunted a lot of states, and there's a lot of great hunting in a lot of states. But per acre of timber, I think we have one of the highest ratios of turkeys per acre of timber.
Ah.
We have about 3 million acres of timber in Iowa, and if you want to relate that, one county in Georgia has that many acres. So you got to kind of keep that into perspective. We're a lot of farm ground, open ground, but we have a lot of turkeys up here. We really do, and the population has gone down just a little bit the last few years, but it's still pretty good.
Hey, we've got a question from one of our viewers. It says, Boomer, what's your favorite filming or hunt you have done?
Oh gosh, there's so many. My favorite one. Well, here, I'll give you two. I'll give you one. I'll give you my favorite one that I was filmed and my favorite one that I filmed. Probably my favorite one that I filmed was Nate Hosey in Ohio with a big giant 10-pointer, and then that was featured on Monster Bucks 29, I believe. That was probably my favorite one. My favorite one being filmed, I probably have to say, was my Kansas hunt this year. It was a rifle hunt. It was the first time I ever drew a tag for a rifle in Kansas. I had tried for many years, and I don't know why I never was picked. And this year it finally all came together, and it was 2-3 days of tough hunting, cold weather, windy, and finally the wind laid down, and outstepped this beautiful mature buck, and the rest is history. And that was actually one of my first times being not self-filming myself, actually being filmed by somebody, where it actually came together. I had been filmed by people before, it just never came together. I think that was my second, actually. Is
that hunt going to be on your show?
Yes, sir. That'll be episode 2. Yep.
Good. Now, and the question I asked you, Boomer, is a good one, but Rick, it's also a good question for you.
Well, now I got to think back now. I've been doing it a long time. My favorite hunt, in all honesty, one of my favorite hunts really wasn't even me. It was my son's very first turkey hunt. People in the industry might know who Pat Reeve is, and Pat was filming that hunt. My son was 9 years old, and that's a hunt that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And then the hunt that, of course, probably one of my biggest hunts is probably, it wasn't even filmed. It would be my first deer hunt when I was 12 years old, and I shot a decent buck with my dad, and of course the camaraderie of hunting with my dad and the history of that is just one of those things that you'll never forget. I've shot enough turkeys over the years. I do remember most of them. I can't remember them all right now, but people will talk about them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I've had so many wonderful things happen in the woods, and I wish everybody could get out there and enjoy the spring turkey woods. Really do.
Yeah, and it's like one of my favorites is hunting with my grandpa when I was about 8 years old. And now we've got another one. Says Boomer, what are you running behind the lens? I'm taking and wanting to know what kind of cameras you're using.
Yeah. Okay. So my in-hunt footage lens. So this would be animal and hunter lens. I am running. Actually, I have it right here. I just don't want to touch it because it's kind of my baby. So I am running a Sony A7 III. That's a DSLR, and then I have a 28 by 135 lens on it. So it's a big boy lens, but it doesn't really go that far out there. But it's nice and crisp, and the depth of focus can go all the way to f/22, all the way down to f/4.0. And for the lighting situations, for anyone that's into camera gear, we could talk about that all night, but we won't even get it. I could talk all day about it.
Yeah, well, Paul just told me that's the camera that he's using to film me here in the studio.
Well, that's why you look so good. That's why.
Hey, well, thank you. I thought I looked kind of bad, but thank you.
Let me jump in there and say this. When I started, just to give people a perspective of how times have changed in technology, when I started filming in the hunting industry, we were shooting Super 8s, and so I mean that's obsolete stuff. But when we moved into beta cams, our beta cams that we bought were $60,000 a piece with the lens. We had 18 by 2 Sony lenses on them, and in a beta cam, you had a big giant tape, and you got 30 minutes of tape footage, and that tape costs about $30 for a tape. And you got 30 minutes on it, and the batteries weighed almost 10 pounds. They're big old batteries, and then you wore a battery belt to carry them. And that's how I started, is walk with a beta cam. And the tripods were big Sackler tripods, if you're familiar with those, but they're huge. Nothing like what they are nowadays. I mean, the tripods weighed as much as the camera, and we used those cameras not only in the turkey woods, but in the mountains when we were filming elk stuff. So time and listen, and then we got into the DV cam stuff and those cameras were about 25,000 to 30,000 with the lens. And nowadays, a guy can go out and spend $1,500 and quite honestly have just as good a footage as that $60,000 camera did. In fact, better in some situations years ago. And they're a lot lighter now. Let me tell you, they're a lot lighter.
Yeah. And they've got the ones you can put on your firearms, these kind of like GoPros and stuff like that, that it's easy to film some of your hunts anymore.
Yeah. And we've got, and maybe boomers use some of them, but we've got our version, our action cameras. And we've got a really nice one coming out. I don't know if I can really talk about it, but before long, there'll be a new action camera out that everybody's going to want to be looking for, and
awesome.
Those are great not only to maybe film your hunts, but to set them at your decoys or in your blinds or at your tree stand on a branch, and gives you secondary footage. And a lot of guys using those types of cameras nowadays, and we've got some really nice ones already, and some really nice ones coming out.
Okay, we got another question from another viewer. It's not specific, but it just says, "What's your favorite hog hunt experience?"
My favorite hog hunt experience?
Yeah.
Let's see. I have a good friend of mine down in North Carolina, Mr. Johnny Dale from Buffalo Creek Guide Service. He does it right down there with the pig hunts. Last year, I went down there for turkey season. Actually, I had probably the greatest spring turkey hunt in the history of turkey hunts. I killed a bird. One of those awesome mornings where you have the birds all around you, and then they get off the hens, they go do their thing, and we ended up killing one around like 11 o'clock. Called to him twice. He came running right down this logging road. And then about maybe 2 hours later, we were driving out and we saw this great big hog. He said, "Go sit up there by that feeder." He said, "I bet you I can get him to come in there." Sat there for about 25 minutes and killed about 250-pound hog. And it was that was just a great experience for me. I do enjoy hog hunting.
Awesome. Hey, Rick, you want to tell us about some of the stuff and some of the shows we got coming up?
Yeah, well, now that you're talking about hog hunting, let me tell you a real quick story. Mike McDonald, who's one of our pro staffers, he was on the show a few weeks back, and a lot of people know him. Mike and I were hunting. We were turkey hunting in Florida. I think it was 2 years ago, and we were on our golf cart. We were coming around a corner, and here was a whole bunch of hogs. And Mike jumped off. He had his rifle, and I had my rifle. Now, my rifle was a single shot. I think it was my 204, maybe my 270. Thompson Center 270, single shot in the case. And we came around the corner, and Mike jumped off and started going towards these hogs. And I looked at him. I said, "Do you mind if I come?" Like he wasn't waiting for me. So I loaded my gun and we're walking down this road, and there must have been about 30 of them. And we walked up to about 15 yards of a few of them. And Mike said, "Okay, anytime you're ready." And I cocked the hammer back, and as soon as I shot, Mike went to shoot. He never loaded his gun.
Oh.
So I dropped the first hog, and then the hogs went crazy. He loaded his gun. He shot 6 or 7 more times, and we got the one hog. But it's a lot of fun. But one of the things I want to talk a little bit about, I know there's a lot of folks out there, and Boomer, you can touch on some of this. I get a lot of people asking not only what cameras should I buy and so on and so forth, but one important thing that people need to know if they're going to go out and film their hunts or film with a buddy is that audio, in my opinion, is just as important as good video. And that's where people lack a lot. And I also believe that shooting from a tripod or a tree arm is 100 times better than trying to handhold hunts. Now, it can be done, and a great camera guy can handhold and film a hunt. But what I see a lot of is when people take shots, especially with guns, if they're hand-holding, they're going to jump. It's just natural.
Yeah.
And even if you're on a tripod, if you're gripping that camera, you're going to jump. So you've got to know when your shooter's going to shoot, and you just got to let go. That doesn't mean move your hands off the camera. Just let go. Just loosen up your grip, and after the shot, go back to your camera. But whatever camera you're using, make sure you've got something that has good audio, and these action cameras, use those for other angles and putting them out maybe at your decoys or just on a branch or in your blind, so that maybe you don't have to go back. We call them, at least I do, cutaways and recreates and things like that, and trying to keep it live. Sometimes those action cameras help. But Boomer, any advice for the guy that's going out to film himself, or maybe just a couple of buddies?
The first time filmer,
Yeah, so my advice to them would be get started now, because all you're doing is wasting your time. There's no reason to keep talking about it. Get out there and do it, because the more footage you lay down, the better you're going to get. There's going to be trials, there's going to be tribulations, there's going to be failure, there's going to be problems, and I guarantee you, as soon as you get a camera, you're going to have more animals come out in front of you than you've ever had before, and you'll kill none of them, because you're going to be self-filming. You're going to be trying to get everything figured out. Before I started filming my hunts, I can think back, I felt like I had deer all over me all the time. And then when I first started to film and I didn't know what I was doing, I had even more deer all over me all the time. Now when I'm self-filming, I know exactly what to do. I'm like sitting there like, well, come on, where are they? Let's get a crack at it. So, it's just one of those things, but I did want to touch on that, Mr. White, the audio thing. Anyone that knows me, that knows my productions or knows the show or anything like that, or anyone that's ever watched it, the one thing that I can definitely guarantee there's great audio, crisp, great audio, wireless microphones, shotgun microphones, multiple different angles of audio. And then we also like to do something called nat audio, where the cameraman will put his hand over the lens, so in the editing room I can see, like, okay, this is what kind of clip it is, and then I'll say into the wireless microphone, nat audio 1, and if we do a couple, it'll be nat audio 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll actually do about 2 straight minutes of no noise, just getting the ambient sounds. It could be birds, robins, crickets, turkeys gobbling, just other deer walking by, that you can pick up that audio, and then you can use that in the edit for other encounters with animals.
Wherever you need to use it then.
Exactly.
That's kind of like the old cliche when you bought a photo camera years ago. It didn't matter what body you bought, it was all on the lens. So spend the money on the lens, and you had a great camera.
Right.
And you can go. I've got some electrosonic lav mics that are $2,800 a piece, but you don't have to go that high. But you can't really go out and buy a $100 lav mic and expect to get good audio.
Right. Yeah. You're going to get what you paid for.
Yeah. So,
okay, Rick, I hate to break up a good time, but let's talk about our weekly special.
All right. So I'm going to read it right off the sheet here, but we've got an excellent weekly special. And with turkey season right around the corner, this is an ultimate go-to, I think. It's a red dot, and it's the Bresser Omni 2. The model number on it is 23-20100, but it normally retails for $139.99, and it's going to be half off, which brings that special pricing to $70. It's the Omni 2 red dot. It's a great, anytime that you're shooting turkeys, in my opinion, anytime that you're going to shoot turkeys over, say, 30 yards, and even closer than that, taking a scope or a red dot or something that you can sight your gun in and know that the biggest percentage of your shot is going to a specific spot. If you've got a turkey out there at 40 yards and you put your just your regular old shotgun bead on it, it's going to cover the whole head. So you really don't know where a lot of that pattern's going. But anyways, the Omni 2 special price through Sunday, half price, $70. All you have to do is go to bresserusa.com, select that model number 23-20100, and at the end there'll be a promotional code. Just enter "On the Hunt," low casing with no spacing, and you'll get that special price. So make sure you check it out. That's another great special this week.
Oh, that is a great special on this, and I have a red dot at home that I use, and as a matter of fact, it's Omni 2, and it's one of the best ones I've ever used.
I think you've got one there, Lonnie, don't you?
Yeah, we've been showing it here.
Okay.
It's small, it's lightweight.
You can't. $70 for a red dot is it's not very common. I mean, that's a good red dot too. And we sell a lot of different red dots, but that is an excellent red dot. So if you're looking for a new red dot, you really ought to check it out.
And for the price, you can't beat it.
That's right.
Next week.
Okay, what about next week, Rick? Who we got coming, or who do we have scheduled for next week?
I've got Chris Bassenwaite is his name. That's one big long line.
Yes.
Bassenwaite. He is from New Hampshire. One of our pro staffers from New Hampshire, and we're going to be talking a little bit of just Eastern hunting. Probably talk some turkey hunting and a little bit of bear hunting and some deer hunting as well.
Awesome. Well, Chris Boomer, it's been nice meeting you, and I've enjoyed watching just listening to you tonight.
We'll get you back on again and get an update of how the spring went, and but if you guys get a chance, make sure you check out their show, Wild Memories. I've seen some promos of it, and it's a great show. So,
and that's on the Sportsman's Channel.
Yes, sir, on the Sportsman's Channel. And if I could real quick, I just want to give a happy birthday to my grandfather. It's his birthday today, and it's his 79th birthday. Big hunter, big fisherman, big
what's his name?
His name is Edward Long.
Happy birthday, Edwin.
Happy birthday, Edwin.
Edwin or Edward?
Edward.
Okay, happy birthday, Edward. Well, that's great. And he's still out hunting?
Oh yeah, still going
good
after it. So he's been watching my journey from the beginning. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and a happy birthday.
I'm sure he's proud of you. That's great.
Thank you.
All right. Out. We got to go out, Lonnie.
Okay. As always, remember our special and go to Bresser USA. Type in "On the Hunt," all small letters for the great discount. Find the model Omni 2, and when you get to the cart, put in "On the Hunt," all little letters, one word, no spacing, for $70. And again, Rick, Chris, nice talking to you. Hope you get to do some good hunting in the next week, and we shall see you next week.
All right, take care, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good optics are a must for a hunter. The new Alpen Tetons. They're lighter, they're better in low light, excellent glass. You'll be hard pressed to find that glass for under $1,000. Everything that you would want in a pair of optics.
I know what I'm looking for, and once I know what I'm looking for and find what it is, that's what I'm interested in buying.
The bottom line is they're affordable, they're lighter, and they're great in low light. The new Alpen Tetons.
Another deer coming out.
Good optics are a must for a hunter, particularly binoculars, not only during hunting season, but times like this when it's time to start scouting. But there's one thing you need to do when you get your binoculars that a lot of people don't realize. You need to set them up for yourself. Everybody's eyes are a little bit different. And here's how I do it. It's simple and easy. Just take the binoculars and just kind of grab good focus on an object. And I go and put my hand over the left lens. The diopter, which is on the right side, I will go ahead and adjust that until that right eye is in focus. Once it is, I take the hand off the other side, both eyes in focus, and you're ready to go. It's simple and easy, and it's a must that you do this before you go out and use them.